All right, very good. For Rick and Lori, for Rick May, 22 years doing play-by-play for women's basketball. For Lori, 20 years doing color analysis for Baylor women's basketball. They actually, in their jobs, preceded the arrival of one Kim Mulkey as the head coach of Baylor women's basketball. But 18 of those years, these two have worked very closely with Coach Mulkey and her staff. So we have asked Coach Mulkey to say a word to you and introduce these two. Folks, welcome Baylor women's basketball coach, Kim Mulkey. There you go, thank you.
John, you're way overdressed, big guy.
Sorry about that.
I told Rick and Lori I would only do this for them and maybe my staff and family. I feel like I've put toothpaste back in a tube because all I want to do is stay out in my yard by my pool right now, so I had to find something to fit in today. But let me tell you quickly. I'll try to be brief because I know John's going to do like a little fireside chat up here, and I may take away some of your thunder because it's hard for me to talk about people who mean a great deal and keep it short, but I'm going to try really hard to keep it short. You're right, I inherited, is what we like to say as coaches. When you come, you inherit players and you inherit staff sometimes. And I inherited Rick and Lori, didn't know anything about them, never heard them on the radio. I never heard Frank Fallon. So you have to remember, I'm from South Louisiana and a little bit of time spent in North Louisiana. So you learn through the years. And the closest I've ever come to hearing them on the radio is sometimes on the road, they will set them up next to me. Not a good idea. Just not a good idea. So the first time they set them next to me, I looked at Rick and I said, how far can that mic hear? And he got the point. He goes, got you covered, coach. So that was my first introduction to that man's, we're going to get along good. When I think of Rick and Lori, I'm not going to tell a lot of stories because I think they need to tell their story. But when I think of those guys, and this is not any offense to John, to any other announcer, Frank Fallon or anybody, but I think in sports, greatness can only be defined when you have been at the pinnacle and you've been at the top. We have the debate going on, Jordan or LeBron, right? My son and I go at it all the time, and I said, when LeBron gets as many championships as Jordan, then come talk to me. Because, see, I have a coach's mentality that the great ones make the team great. The great ones make those that aren't as good as them better, and they win championships. I mean, what the heck do you play for? So, John, until you and I don't know whoever else does the announcing at Baylor get to a Final Four, they're great. You're still trying to play catch up. Until all of you can say, I've called a national championship game, you're still playing catch up. Until you see that you have called 2 national championship games, you're still playing catch up. Is that fair to say? So we have 2 legends really in our midst, and it has to work. They can't try to outdo each other. They can't try to out-talk each other. And the personalities have to mesh. I'm going to tell a couple things, and I'm going to let you elaborate on it more. Lori, I don't remember where it was early in my career here, but I remember Johnny Derrick said, whew, have you ever seen Lori mad? I said, no, not really. She threw her headsets during the game today. So I guess you need to ask her about that. When I think of Lori, when you're young and you're coming to a new place and you're scared to death and you're trying to fit in and you're trying to figure out why we do things that we do, you got to have somebody that you ask that's been around and you can confide in. And I'm going to miss the talks with Lori late in the hotel rooms just tell me, Lori, why is it such drama to try to get things done and do this? And she would walk me through those things. I'm going to miss that. And you all probably have that same person in your life. And it's really not basketball or announcing related. Rick, I'll never forget his dislike for the University of Texas. I know all of you probably have some of that. But the first time I ever did an interview with Rick, he would always at home, he comes to the office an hour before home games, and we sit in the conference room and we do our pregame. And I mean, he quickly let me know, Coach, if you don't do anything at Baylor, just beat Texas. And I thought, oh, man, I don't know if I want to be. He's got shallow goals, you know. And then when we played at the University of Texas this year, and I walked out of the locker room back across that floor, and I'd finished their last interview at the University of Texas, I couldn't help but say it, get that smile off your face. So those of you who probably heard that, now you know where that was coming from. And the other thing I want to say about Rick is when I was going through my divorce, most of you don't know this, and please bring it up, John. Rick has a music background. He's played in bands, and I didn't know that until I hosted my crawfish boil one year. Johnny Derrick plays the bass, Rick plays an instrument, and Noli Bice plays an instrument. So I had the three of those guys entertain us at my crawfish boil. But one day we're getting ready to do the pregame, and Rick, in his very humble way, said, Coach, I don't want to get in your business. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I've spent a lot of time doing this, and I would like to give you a couple of CDs that I made. And I said, well, Rick, that's kind, you know. And he says, well, I put a lot of thought in these CDs. And he said, I know you're going through a divorce. It's a tough time for you. And I know you love music, particularly country music. And he said, just let me know what you think about them. So I'm thinking, well, that's sweet, that's creative. So I put the first CD in one day coming to work. Well, the very first one that came off the speaker was a D-I-V-O-R-C by Tammy Wynette. Well, see how you laugh? Well, I just busted out laughing. That was better than any counseling I could have paid for. And he was all over the place. I mean, the man put in some time to put these songs. There was one in there about as good as I was to you. I mean, Rick, I still listen to those. In fact, Mackenzie and Kramer will get in the car, and this is no lie. Mom, where are your divorce tapes? Mackenzie, is that the truth? So now they listen to the divorce tapes. I'm going to hush. When you think of Rick and Lori, I think of peanut butter and jelly. They go together. They're professional. They're loyal. They're loyal to my program. They're loyal to me. They're loyal to Baylor. I'm going to miss them. They're great, great people. They're great people. You don't ever hear bad things about Rick and Lori. While they have opinions, they know the right time to say those opinions. I thank them from the bottom of my heart for making my transition easy 18 years ago. Because if they didn't help me on the road with a team that we're trying to build and take to places other than Rick wanting to beat Texas, I wanted to go further than that, Rick. You guys made it easy for us. You really did. Lori had a setback with her health, and I'll never forget. Go take care of yourself, Lori. It was always how quickly I can get back. How quickly can I get back? I don't want to miss anything. I want to be a part of it. And I know that when we look back years from now on those championships, do you realize what you've really been a part of? Do you realize how many games you've called that were championships? 3 Final Fours, 2 national championships, 18 Big 12 championships. So until somebody at Baylor University lives longer than you did and does what you have done in your profession, you're legends in our eyes. Rick and Lori.
You have the mic right there.
Thank you.
You're there.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Let us stand for the benediction. I think we could end right now.
We can go home now.
Yeah, we could go home.
You know, I thought when Derek was doing the prayer, I thought he would say, "Dear God."
Could have done it.
In his inimitable voice.
I could have done it. Coach, thank you very much. You set the tone for our luncheon today. If you want to hear more Kim Mulkey stand-up, join the Tip-Off Club. Right? A lot of y'all are members of the Tip-Off Club, so you know what that's like. Appreciate y'all being here. The staff is here at this table. Welcome to y'all. This is going to be fun. Like I said, I don't know if we can keep it in the allotted time because there's lots of good stories to tell and fun stories. Let me start by Rick. And as they came up here, did you see they had the conversation, who's sitting where? Did you notice that? Because there's a little bit of superstition there, right, Rick?
Just a little bit.
A lot of superstition.
A lot of superstition.
Lori always has to be on my right.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Bob, most of the time on our left, but sometimes, in the case of like TCU, he would be on the right, but things just didn't feel right even then. But Lori always has to be on my right. And when we're sitting together at the games in the future, she's going to be on my right.
Up in the stands.
Yeah, we just don't mess with the mojo.
And we'll commentate to each other and probably throw out a boom here and there.
That's great. That is great. Let me let you introduce your family and friends that you have here, Rick.
Start with my friend Burton Lawless, his wife Dosha, Denver, wife Connie, son-in-law Joey, Chrissy, my daughter, Audrey, my granddaughter, and my son Ben.
Great. Let's give them a hand right here. Lori, we're actually all family in here, but your immediate family. How about that?
Yeah, my husband Richard is here, along with my sister Karen and my brother-in-law Jerry. And unfortunately, my mother-in-law was supposed to be here, and my sister-in-law, they had some emergency health issues, so unable to be here. But thank you so much for being here. Also, my work family is here as well, which I did not know. And Jason, thank you so much. Karen, Randy, Tanya, Melissa, Terry, and Jeremy back there. If y'all would stand for me.
Stand up.
These
Stand up, please.
people I spend a tremendous amount of time with, and they have allowed me really the time to live a dream for the past 20 years.
That's it.
Can I also mention some really good friends of mine, Greg and Suzanne from Terrell. Greg Shumpert, Suzanne came down. I didn't know they were coming until late last night, and got an email from Greg saying it was actually supposed to be a surprise that they were going to show up, but I'm so happy that they're here.
That's fun. Welcome. Glad y'all are here. Well, everybody is family here, and we love to tell stories, you know, at family reunions. So let's let you all tell some stories. What was that? What was it like, Rick? You started in '96. So Laura, you started in '98, and then about 2000, this spunky point guard from Louisiana Tech comes in. What was your first reaction, or you know, your first meeting with and dealing with Coach Mulkey when she started?
Well, first of all, let me mention Sanja Hogue. I worked with Sanja
Coach Hogue's
for
here.
4 years. Yes.
Right back there. Yeah.
And I've worked with two coaches. I love both of them dearly. And so I was so used to Sanja and the way she did things, and just, you know, was totally different when Kim came in. And I love Kim Mulkey, all that she has done, all that she has done for me, and just a great person and staff to work with. So two staffs that I've worked with have just been tremendous. Now, things did change, and it was just a little getting used to something called Mulkey time to begin with. And if you don't know what Mulkey time is, if you're going to leave at 3:30 in the afternoon. You better be there around 3 o'clock. Just be there early. So we learned that quickly, and then just the different things that she did on the court. I learned basketball just by watching and listening to her and Bill, others.
Mulkey time applies to everyone also. She left Kramer one time at the hotel.
Yeah.
She left her son at the hotel because he wasn't ready on time. Lori, there is, in dealing with Coach Mulkey and dealing with the staff, and then as much as y'all travel together and spend time together, you can't help but have some interesting stories. I think once after a game at Iowa State, and it was really cold, and Coach Mulkey needed to make a point with her team, and it happened on the bus, right, after the game?
Yes, in the dead of winter.
In
Ames, Iowa.
Ames, okay.
That's
like
right.
12 below outside.
12 below Ames.
And we had made the long walk. How many of you have been to Hilton Coliseum there at Ames, Iowa? You've survived the long walk down and the long walk up, the tunnel entrance there. And it's always freezing cold there. But yes, we I don't think we got on the bus, did we? Did we get on the bus?
I think we got on and then got right up back off.
Yeah. That's right. Coach had to make a point to the team, so we were off the bus in 12-degree weather. And so we just huddled up together back around the exhaust pipe just to stay warm. And was hoping she would, move it along, Coach. But another time at Oklahoma State, she kept us on the bus. You remember that, Julie? She said, Rick, Julie, Lori, I want you to stay on the bus too. We went, oh no. I hope this doesn't involve running laps or anything like that, or shooting extra free throws. But she was making the point that everybody had to do their job. Everybody had to carry their weight, and everybody needed to be excellent, to be a champion, to have success in whatever position you do. You have to give 100%. So at that point, we were ready to get out there and go run through a wall at that moment. But that part of being a reminder of being included as a part of the program. That we were a part of it too. We were there, and you better believe we gave our best every night, and we wouldn't do it any other way.
That's good. Big part of the broadcast team is Bob Baker, who is right here front and center. Bob, our engineer. Bobby, appreciate you and everything you do. And Bob works as many games as his schedule allows, but there's sometimes when it's just you two on the road games. Rick, one game, there was a game in Lubbock, I believe, where you had some technical issues. Does Coach know about this?
She found this out at the banquet.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Well, what actually happened was after the game, Kim always comes out for the post-game interview, and as she was coming out, Julie Bennett, sports information director, was there beside us, and she starts to unplug her computer and get out of the way, and in her haste of doing that, she actually hit the button that turned the power off to all of our equipment, all of it.
And, it was you, Julie. It was you.
And so back in the day, we were using ISDN rather than going through the internet, and it takes it a while for that to boot back up and get going, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's not going to want to sit here and wait till we get back on the air and stuff. So I just threw the headphones on her. We did the interview, and she never knew we weren't on the air. And we weren't going to tell her.
And the most important thing is we won the game.
Yeah,
so
that was a good thing. Yeah.
That was really important there.
That makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Coach mentioned you mild-mannered Lori Fogleman threw your headsets one time? Come on.
I did.
More than once.
More than once.
Yeah, that's true.
What brought that on?
Well, an extremely bad call.
Oh, okay.
And it was at Colorado.
Yes.
And I won't mention any names about who the referee was, although I know who it was. Made an egregious call. And so I threw my headsets off and just I looked at him, and not that and I don't think he looked at me like I would really matter, but I just had to make a point.
Gotcha.
And I don't think we won that game, and I think that was part of it. But I have been known to do that occasionally.
I was actually fearful that she was going to pull a Dave South and get thrown out of the game by the official because the way she threw her headphone and gave him the evil eye. So.
Richard, have you ever seen that look? Hope not very often. Rick, you are so under control and so professional, with the way you deliver the broadcast. But there was one time, I think the game against Louisville, that maybe kind of got the best of you.
Things got out of hand in that game, both on the floor and in front of the microphone. Yeah. I think we all remember that game, and I remember it very vividly. And I remember seeing, we were behind, and Louisville could just do no wrong. And I guess the philosophy that Jeff Walls had was, they're not going to foul all of us out, so we'll just use all the fouls we have. But during timeouts, I saw coaching staff, maybe doing a little taunting, and not Jeff himself, but, the other coaches. And I just was first upset with the referees. Then I was upset with the coaching staff. I was upset with everything that could be upset. Even Jerry Hill had moved from the other end of the table down to where we were because he was listening to the Louisville side of the broadcast where he was sitting. He said, I can't put up with that. And he came down there with us. But during all of that, and I remember my friend Burton telling me he could tell I was mad, I went off. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fined for the things that I'm saying. And I looked over at Lori, and she's like wide-eyed looking at me. And I said, all right, I better calm down. So I tried to get back in the swing of things and get on with the game, but I kind of went off on that particular game.
I think if there was any time to do it, that was probably the time to do
that
it.
Was right.
Right.
I can still go off on that one today.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's don't spend any more time on that. Yeah. What about, and you both sort of mentioned this, how much the women's coaching staff welcomes you in and makes you part of the team. I mean, you really are part of their team, and that's a tight-knit circle also, but you're a part of that. What do you appreciate most about that?
Well, they're just family right there. When we talk about our family, our work family, and then our women's basketball family, open arms with us. It's special to be able to go down and have a meal together, to be, to be allowed to sit in the room when Coach Mulkey and the others are doing scouting reports. Just to be able to learn a little bit more about that, for them to be able to trust us to be in the room where it happens, and I think that's what's just incredible. And they, even such that they have invited us to go along with them to Italy in August to be a part of their tour. We appreciate that, and what fun that will be. To put a little bit of sightseeing in another part of the world together with one of our very favorite things, which is Lady Bear basketball.
I do want to mention, Kim talked about my dislike for Texas. Yeah. I do remember telling her in her very first year that on the radio, I'm not going to criticize the coaching staff. I'm not going to be one of those that, points out, well, they should have done this or should have done that. I'm just calling the game. But I did tell her, I hope she remembers this, I know she will, that, if you ever get a chance to run up the score on Texas and you call off the dogs, I will wear you out on the radio. Wear you out.
That's great.
So, just saying.
Okay, very good. We get the point. Everybody in the room probably agrees with you too. So, Y'all have called, like she said, 3 Final Four trips, 2 national championship games. I would guess that might be the high point, but I don't want to assume anything. Rick, what's been the high point for you in this broadcasting career?
Yeah, well, winning the first national championship in Indianapolis, that was really, really special because as we started the playoffs, I wasn't really sure. We had won a number of games in a row. After I think our last
We've
loss
won
was
14 in a row.
14, yeah. I think our last loss was at Texas before we went on the winning streak. We also lost at Nebraska in triple overtime that year. Well, that's another game that we could talk about. But the championship drive was just special. I mean, it really was. And that national championship semifinal against LSU, who we had lost to start the season, and we had a chance to win that game, but we missed the shot at the end. So getting to play them again, they were the number 1 seed coming in, and when we won that game, I thought, you know what, we just might win this whole thing. But when we were in Seattle to start that run, Phyllis Gamble was doing a game with me, a couple of games up there, and one of the television announcers kind of said, I think Baylor's got a really good chance. Nobody wants to play Baylor. I think got a really good chance to win it all. And that was the kind of first time it clicked in my head, we really might have a chance. And then to go on and do it and make that championship game and that championship call was just a special memory that'll be with me the rest of my life.
Well, you can't get any better than a national championship, and then to be able to do it twice. Everything that he said about it was remarkable. I was able to catch back up in Arizona. We beat Minnesota, then we beat North Carolina, and then we defeated LSU.
Three number one seeds
to be able to win that, and everything was new and exciting and fun, and I remember sitting there at the pregame meal before the game, and everybody's just looking at each other, and Shamika Scott was the one who, of course, just broke the tension in the room, and then everybody could enjoy their meal, and you just felt it that we're gonna win, right, Karen? We're gonna win, and we did. But what was fun about that, beginning the year against LSU, it was down in Austin. It was the State Farm Tip-Off Classic. And it was like a Final Four atmosphere. Yeah. And after the game was over and we lost, we looked at each other and said, wow, we had a great season, didn't we? That was great. We'll get them next year. And then we thought, that was just the first game of the year because it felt like a playoff game. But then when we were playing LSU, we went down by 15 in that first half, right?
Yes.
And
Chelsea made the layup.
Chelsea Whitaker, so many players turned that game around by halftime, and then we just rolled in the second half. I mean, rolled right into a national championship game. And Kim, we had you outside doing a live Inside Baylor Sports after that game. And you had Tennessee and Michigan State playing at the same time, and all the Baylor fans were yelling, Tennessee, Tennessee, bring them on. And, Baylor had overcame that 15-point deficit, which was the largest ever in an NCAA game, NCAA Final Four game, and then Tennessee ended up blowing a 16-point lead to Michigan State. So we got the Spartans instead, but we took care of the Spartans, and the rest was history. And I have fond memories of the RCA Dome
no doubt.
In Indianapolis. It was a magical experience, I know, for everybody who was there.
It's very cool. It's much more fun to talk about high moments, high points, wins, but there's got to be some low points also. Rick, you were mentioning one at Kansas, I think?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time, broadcast equipment works like it's supposed to. And then there's the occasion that it doesn't, and that was certainly one of them. Number one, we had lost Danielle Wilson to a knee injury in Austin the game before that. So we go to Kansas. We're on the road, and nothing works. I mean, nothing. We couldn't dial out on the ISDN. Nobody could dial in to us. It just wasn't going to work. So what do? we pulled out our cell phone. And we started doing the broadcast and passing it back and forth. I would talk and hand it to her, and she would talk and hand it back to me. By halftime, the battery's dead. What to do now? Fans, step up. Jan Nimmo, with her cell phone, gave us the second half, and that's the way we did the entire broadcast by cell phone.
But what was most humiliating about it, though, that day?
Oh, yeah. The student broadcasters for Kansas were down there, and they were on the air and laughing at us. I would have laughed too.
And we lost that game.
We did
so it was
lose
just
the game,
like
yeah.
it was just
Everything went
obviously
wrong.
meant to be.
Bob makes the point, it wouldn't have made any difference that day, I don't think, but that he was not there on that trip to
Right.
Lawrence.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have made any difference, Bobby, even if you had been there. What are you going to do now? I mean, you're still here, you're still around. Lori, you're still working for Baylor. You're just not going to be doing the games, but you're not going to be very far away, are you?
No, we're still here. Neither one of us are actually retired. We retired from this job. And let me just say that if there was ever a dream job, this was it for me. I, as a second grader, went on a field trip to a radio station. And I said, that's what I want to do. And so to get to do it, and then to do it at this level and call national championships and 18 titles and all that is just a dream job that is just going to stay with me the rest of my life. So, but we're here. We'll be at the games. We're going to be a part of the program as much as we can be, and they have our full support and our devotion and love forever.
You and Connie are actually going to sit together at a game?
Yeah.
Is that right? How about that, huh? That's nice. That'll be good. That'll be welcome.
First time in a
long time.
And Lori will be right there to my right.
And Lori will be to your right.
Richard's still going to
there.
be working the scores table.
That's right. I'll just throw some popcorn.
We'll get you a job working at the scores table, and you and Richard can sit together down there. How about that? But you're going to be there. You're going to be around and be at games.
Yeah. And you know what? I agree with Rick about it being a dream job. Having my sister here, Karen remembers, I'm just a sports fanatic all of my life. And I always said if I could skate, I would have played hockey. But you don't want to see me skate. I mean, that was a disaster in the making. But just not in the right, maybe if I lived where there was skating. But I always wanted to work in sports, to be a sports broadcaster. I think for my generation, I was just a little bit too ahead of that. But you and I worked together at KWTX back in the day, and John actually gave me a couple of opportunities to do some sports reporting, when
You were great at it, too.
and I enjoyed that.
You were great.
And I enjoyed that. And but when I came to Baylor in 1998, one of the things that he said was, when you get here, would you like to do women's basketball? And I was like, absolutely, I would love that opportunity. And to sit down next to Rick, the one thing I have to give tremendous amount of credit to him is because, you do sit down there and you do start to just figure out each other, figure out how to call the game, and Rick just let me find my way, and I think that's the same thing that I would tell Maggie with Bruce, is that you'll find your way, and your partner will allow you the grace to be able to do that, and what a ride it was for 20 years.
Well, that's great. Well, as you mentioned, Maggie and Bruce, we made the announcement a couple of days ago, and they are here today. And in the release that went out publicly, Jill Price is here, and she wrote the release. I asked you to make one change, if you don't mind, and she said replacing Rick May and Lori Fogleman. And I said, if you don't mind, it means a lot to me, and I always make this distinction, referring to Frank, that nobody is replacing Rick May and Lori Fogleman. They are succeeding them in this role, okay? So thanks, Jill. But y'all stand up, if you don't mind. Bruce Geetson is here, and Maggie Davis-Stinnett. Y'all stand up, and welcome to the Baylor family, to Bruce and Maggie. All right, here you go, old hands, you two old hands. What advice would you have for Bruce and Maggie?
Well, I think Maggie and I talked about this just a moment ago. Maggie has a tremendous amount of cachet. You know, she is still at the top of the record books in Baylor women's basketball history. And so many of us have fond memories watching her play for Baylor, watching her dominate in the Southwest Conference. For the players to be able to see her name, to know what she has done and meant to the Lady Bear basketball program early in its history. I think for Maggie, the opportunity to share your experience with players who are going through what you've been through before, to be an incredible role model that you are and always have been. You know, I think that you are just a person of great grace and tremendous talent and integrity. And Coach, I think that she will do so much for your players in their development. I think that's been a part of it. I've enjoyed for 20 years having the opportunity to interview players, but it's not just about, you know, can you do a pregame player interview and have Shamika Scott or Taryn Condry or, you know, name any of them to sit down and do a 2.5 minute radio interview. It's part of their development as people. It's part to learn how to express yourself and to understand, you know, how to speak in a public forum, how to speak to journalists. I mean, it really is part of their growth as young women and part of their professional lives as they go on. And I think that will be the greatest opportunity and the greatest thing that you can bring to players.
Bruce has a history here in Waco. People know him from being on television, newscaster. Many of you may not know that he has a lot of experience in sports broadcasting on television. He was with the Astros, did stuff for the Rockets. He's going to do just fine, and he is the perfect guy to step into this job. He's going to be in for a wonderful ride. I told him that at lunch a couple of days ago. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to love every minute of it, and he couldn't be working with a better staff than this crew right here.
2 words, mulkey time.
Didn't I mention that to you?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, and the best part about it is y'all will be around. You'll be here if they have questions for you. They can come to you, and I know you'll be open to visiting them and answering any questions, you know, that they might have. So final thought, final question from both of you. This is kind of an end of an era. You know, it really is. 20 years is a long time, and 22 years is a long time. Let me just say thank you on behalf of a lot of people. You know, the coaching staff for sure, but Baylor Nation and the Lady Bears and Baylor University and Baylor Athletics, let me say thank you. Y'all are dedicated and you work so hard and given so much time. People don't realize, you know, the travel and the road schedule, you know, that goes along with doing the games like they have done. So I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts. We really do.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you, Coach. Thank you to each one of you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Johnny.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I thank all of you.
That is great. That is great. 2 standing ovations in 1 luncheon. Yeah, I don't think any of our legends have had that. So y'all are terrific. There really wasn't a question, I guess, in there in that last statement, but we really do appreciate you. And everyone that's here, they were saying they appreciate you as well. Rick and Lori, you appreciate the support from the fans through the years.
Absolutely. Wonderful fans. Everywhere we go, fans come up to us and talk to us, and we really appreciate that. We love all of them.
I think that's what we'll probably miss the most, you know, or one of those things we'll miss is, you know, the opportunity on road trips to get to know fans. I mean, we sit and have meals together, and we share great stories, And that'll be another incredible part of being a part of the Lady Bear Broadcasting.
That's cool.
Team.
Enjoy Italy. How great is that?
Yeah, we will.
That is great. Very good. Well, let me mention a couple of things. We have on this table right back here, where Doug Furch, as Carol Merrill is standing, displaying a picture, and around the mat of the picture is room for you to sign it and say a short word to Rick and Lori. There's one for Rick and there's one for Lori. So before you leave, be sure and sign those, and then we'll give it to them at the end of the day. And then are they doing, do we have the autograph cards? Nope, just this? All right, so that's your way to say thanks to them, is by signing that, and we'll give one to Rick and one to Lori on your way out. But appreciate y'all. Thank y'all very much. Rick May and Lori Fogleman, two true legends.